So lovely to be with you and to be. Being is and as being, there is peace, the peace of being. So when you welcome yourself, you're welcoming being. Being is welcoming itself. And in this welcoming, there is no separate person. It is the totality welcoming itself. When you welcome the other, you are welcoming yourself as that same being, that same beingness, that same reality. I refers to being, awareness. Always available to you, always available to itself. Although on one hand, I references the limited imaginary person, I also references borderless awareness. When you investigate I, you start from I am somebody, I'm a person, I exist in time and space. There is a story about my past, my family, my tribe, and some story about my future. But this story, which is a series of images and feelings is an appearance. It appears to you. It's like a parade that is parading itself in front of your eyes. You are viewing the story of me. And in order to view the story of me and really get into it, you need to first define yourself as a particular me, as a particular character, and buy into it. So there is this character which appears to you as images, memories, sensations, feelings. And you have bought into this way of defining yourself, this way of defining your true nature, your true self, because there is only one true self, only one reality. And I identify myself with whatever it is, with that character, those images, those feelings. I identify myself somehow. As a person with a personal life, a personal reality. And that's the story of my life. I overlook the I, that which is not an appearance. I overlook the reality of awareness, the reality of consciousness, as I identify myself with an object. But the person you believe yourself to be and you perceive is in the movie. You are in the theater viewing. You're not actually in the movie. You're not actually limited. You're not a limited entity, a limited character, subject to conditions, subject to situations. So the sense of limitation, the ignorance, is a choice we make. Meaning it's a consciousness makes the choice that I, the borderless awareness, am an object, a person, a female, a male form, how could you be something that you perceive? How could you be dependent and limited by body-mind activities and sensations that you perceive, that appear to you? In your night dreams, you dream various characters and you dream yourself to be one of these characters. You dream that every character in your dream, including yourself being a character in the dream, have their own personal thoughts. While in fact, everybody's thoughts in the dream, including the thoughts of the character you imagine yourself to be, are your own creation. And in the dream, you're surprised when you're sitting with a friend in the dream and they tell you a joke and you're listening to the joke and you don't know the punchline. And when they tell you the punchline, you're surprised and you start laughing. And yet, aren't you the one who is dreaming dreaming the joke, you already know the punchline. You are creating the entire show. And in spite of you being the creator of the entire show, you're surprised. In your night dream, you open a door and you're surprised by what you find behind that door, what you find in the room. And yet you're the creator of the dream, you're creator of the room, and you're the creator of whatever it is that is in that room. And yet you're surprised. It's exciting to be a character in the dream, falling in love, falling out of love. Overcoming obstacles, feeling excited, elated, or feeling depressed, abandoned, lonely. There's a certain excitement in that. Until you decide you're no longer interested in buying into this bill of goods. And then you lift the veil. So if you have any questions, please make sure you unmute yourself and turn on your video. And so any questions?
Hey, Magdi, I don't want you to leave. Someone ask you a question. Not that you would, but I just feel like I guess I'm uncomfortable in the long silence. But I do have a question. I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and that is, it's about manifestation. You talked about how manifestation tends to happen when it's an impersonal desire. Can you give me an example of what that would be like? Like I remember when you said that, I thought to myself, how can I turn my personal desires into impersonal desires? See, that's what the mind is. So you know, my mind was just like all excited, like let's get this going, like let's put down all our desires and then somehow turn them into impersonal desires.
Yes, right, I get it.
All right, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, you know, personal desires are basically desires that can only arise when there is the belief that I am a person, that consciousness, that reality, that being is a limited personal self. So personal desires are based upon the premise that there is somebody, a personal doer, a personal limited self, who has certain desires and can fulfill these desires. Of course, when you take a closer look, you find that, in fact, in your experience, there is no such a person. There isn't an actual personal self. There are perceptions, sensations, thoughts, memories, feelings. There are images of somebody named Frank. There is a body that we perceive in a certain way. There is a physical body we can perceive in the mirror. There is a name to this body that is named Frank or Magdi or whatever. But we don't find a personal self, a separate person with a separate personal will outside of the totality, outside of wholeness. And when we take a look at our thoughts, we find that we are not the manufacturer and the chooser of our thoughts as a person. That thoughts arise to us out of whatever they arise of. They arise to us and they arise within us and they dissolve from the same place where they arose. So there isn't, somebody, a personal self who is choosing and willing and doing. So the entire premise of personal desire, given that there is no personal self, is moot, because there is no personal desirer. Now, and yet, sometimes we have a desire. It's like, oh, gee, I'd love to travel the world. I'd love to volunteer in some of my time in the local hospital, or I'd love to learn how to play the violin. So there are desires that arise to us as thoughts, but they don't arise from a person. They don't arise from, okay, I want to play the piano in order to become a great pianist and become popular and make a lot of money. You know, it's not. There are desires that arise out of whatever they arise from, but they don't arise from the belief and the feeling of being a personal self. Such desires are what we refer to as impersonal desires or universal desires, the universe desiring. And whatever the universe desires, it fulfills. Because the universe is that one reality, the cosmos, the cosmic reality. So how does the universe fulfill impersonal desires? Well, it fulfills impersonal desires whichever way it does. It doesn't fulfill impersonal desires according to the, your personal narrative about how the universe should behave. There are many examples of impersonal desires, getting fulfilled. In my case, I had a desire to at work to have a harmonious work life, less busy, less complex, and void of worry, concerns, and fears. That's an impersonal desire. It wasn't I need that in order to be happy. It was like somehow this is what my heart yearned for, and it fulfilled itself. When and how, it's hard to describe. I mean, there are so many ways to speak about it, but it fulfilled itself. I had an impersonal desire of being in no relationship at all, or in a relationship where there are no people. And I met Tara, and right around when that desire was arising, we don't have a relationship of two people, a relationship of, let's say, a relationship of love, hard to describe. It's a relationship of love of truth, love of reality, love of freedom.
Right. Hey, Magdi, quick question about that.
Yeah.
The process, from the time that you felt when you saw that you had that desire, was there anything that the body mind did, or is it just something that you became aware of, that you had this desire and then eventually it just manifested itself? Or is there any kind of I know this is the mind trying to figure things out, but is there a process on the body mind level? No,
it's not on the body mind level. It's a little bit magical in a way, hard to describe. It's as if suddenly the stars line up, or something like that. It's suddenly there is an appearance, something appears to you in your life, and everything within you is saying yes. It's like a choiceless. It's a choiceless situation where it's as if the choice is made for you, and you're completely yes with it. It's not like a process of planning and thinking and processing. It's more, but it's important to clarify that an impersonal desire is not a desire that has an attachment to a certain particular goal. It's an open. It's like I would love to be in a friendly, sweet relationship. And so it's not like that's what it's not attached to the outcome. It's as if the universe is sort of saying, yeah, well, let's explore a happy relationship, and it unfolds whichever way it unfolds. There isn't an attachment to any consequence, to any result.
Interesting. So if there's anything going on, and like if I have a desire where I feel like I have to have this thing or whatever, or then I'm really like I'm hanging on to results, and that's not gonna that's what you call a personal
Yes.
desire, right? But
Yes.
if I'm willing to say, okay, if I'm looking at, so let's say I want to get up, okay, I have a car, but let's say I wanted a car, and I wanted a certain type of car. It's not a matter of like, focusing on the car and then just saying, and then like saying, yeah, like, I have to have a car. It's saying like, well, I'd like to have a car. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Is that the kind of a thing?
You're right. Because if you ask yourself, if you're attached to a consequence, to a result, what is it that's attaching itself? So obviously there is something, there is a certain identification, that I will be happier if I have the car, for example. Now
it's a feeling of lack, right? It's a feeling of lack and missing something. It's a feeling of lack, right?
It's placing an unnecessary condition onto God. It's placing a misplaced condition onto the universe. Because the universe is complete creativity and complete freedom, and you're not separate from it. So as you are in harmony with the cosmic order, then you're in harmony with the universal creative realm. See? So let's say that, yeah, I'd love to have a car, like where I can go visit my mom, friends, etc. You don't know how it will manifest. It may manifest in somehow you get kicked out of your apartment and you find yourself living, 2 miles away from your mom and all your friends, and somehow where you're living, the guy has a motorcycle and says, you're welcome to use a motorcycle, and you've always wished since you was a young boy to have a motorcycle. you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here you are now, your car is gone, you don't even think about a car, you're loving having a motorcycle, and you're 2 miles away from your mom and your dad, and you lost that other apartment, which was shitty anyways, and you're in a better place, and there is a beautiful girl that lives in the floor above you. just in case, I don't know your situation, so I'm just babbling here.
That's it. No, I got you. So it's just that you don't know in what form it's going to manifest, but if it's in personal. But I guess what I'm still trying to figure out is, like, let's say I have a desire for something. Is it just a matter of like, okay, so I have a thought that comes to me. I don't create my own thoughts. So the thought comes to me and the desire comes to me. Oh, I'd like to have this, or I'd like to go on vacation to this place. And then is it just a matter of just forgetting about it and then just like, then it just happens at some point, or is it something that I have to keep conscious of?
It depends. First, the thought or the desire that arises to you, it has to be a sort of desire where if it completely does not fulfill itself, it's perfect, not a problem. Okay. First. Secondly, it depends. It could be a desire that keeps knocking on your door. Say, well, I'd love to travel. I'd like to go to Turkey. No, well, no, I want to go to Paris, and I want to go. If it keeps visiting itself, obviously you will follow it. You say, oh well, wait a minute, let me see what are nice places to visit in Italy. Oh, Rome would be nice, Venice would be nice, etc. Whatever, and then who knows? You may suddenly meet a friend, who is just traveling through, and he lives or she lives in Rome, and says, oh, Frank, why don't you come and visit me, so no, you don't need to do anything, really, because there isn't actually a you that is doing anything. It's a universe that's doing what it's doing, and you are on board. You are the universe. So it's you as the universe who's manifesting it. So it's like
Hmm.
It's a universal desire that is arising through you. And you already have expressed that universal desire as consciousness. So your question is, what do I need to do? There's nothing that you need to do.
Hmm. So it's the universe, kind of like even the desire that's coming, it's coming from consciousness. And if consciousness decides that it's something that's going to happen, it's going to happen. You're just, because there's nobody else, right? It's just consciousness.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like, yeah, I still feel like there's that, we talk about, I know you don't talk about the doer, but a lot of people do talk about that doer. I guess there is a doer, it's consciousness though, right? So
Yeah,
the consciousness,
well, yeah. First, if you look at your experience right now, okay, there is talking, there is driving, there is whatever activities that there are. In your experience, you're not actually thinking about a doer or who's talking or who's. And yet there is talking, there is driving, there is cooking, there is inviting friends for dinner and chatting with them. All that is taking place. Like in this moment, there is activity. One could say there is activity. But on the other hand, in this very moment, one could say there is nothing happening. Let me clarify that. For an activity to occur, for a doer to do something, you need time, right? You need the process of time and space. So there is somebody doing something, and there is a sequence of events that are occurring in time and space. That's on one hand, the doing. But then when you examine your experience as presence in this moment, time is something that appears to you. For example, the memory of what you did an hour ago. Let's say you were having breakfast an hour ago. That appears to you in this moment, right? So the memory of 2 hours ago is an image that appears to you in this moment. So in fact, when you take a look at your experience, you find that there is an aspect to your experience which is not in time. Time appears in your experience, but your experience is not in time. You follow?
yeah.
You see
Yeah, no, I follow it. Absolutely, I follow that.
Okay. So the doer, which is in time, okay, so there is an image that appears to you. Well, I had breakfast this morning. I, peeled the banana and I cooked some oatmeal. Okay, so now there is the doer. So we introduced within that memory, we introduced a doer, somebody is doing some certain activities, right? So that doer who was present when breakfast, at the time of breakfast, at 8 o'clock this morning, time of breakfast, there was this doer named Frank, for example. Now, let's go to the doer in this moment. So in this moment, there is also a doer. Let's say maybe it's the same doer or different doer, I don't know. So there is a doer now, let's say, in this moment, who is driving a car, right? Okay. So let's go an hour from now, we will say, well, yeah, an hour ago, the doer, Frank, was driving a car, right? Like now we said 2 hours ago, the doer, Frank, was preparing breakfast, right? So an hour from now, we will say the doer, is named Frank, who's driving the car now, right? You follow? You're following?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Now, so let's look right now at this doer right now who's driving the car, okay? So right
Well,
now,
I'm parked. Just to let you know, I'm parked. Okay,
oh,
go
okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, so let's look at the doer right now who is parked. Okay. So right now there is this perception, right? Okay. Right. If this is where is the doer? What is the doer right now? Who's parked?
Right here.
Here, where? Where?
Yeah, yeah, there's no location.
So
Am
there
I
is,
right?
obviously, I mean, you look at your experience right now, your experience right now, I'm assuming it's the same as mine. It's an experience of awareness, right? I'm perceiving, right?
Yeah. Yep. Unlocated.
And unlocated. So if right now in this moment, there isn't an actual located doer, then an hour from now, when I say, well, yeah, there was a doer an hour ago, something is off here. What am I talking about? You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say like for example, right now you say, well, yeah, Frank was the doer of breakfast 2 hours ago. If you go to 2 hours ago and I asked you, had the same conversation, your experience will be purely that of awareness, will not be a doer. So a doer is an add-on. We add on, a doer. Like, for example, right now we say, well, there is a listener. There is somebody, a listener. But when you look at whether there is a separate consciousness who is listening, or you don't find a doer, you don't find a listener.
So would it be correct to say that awareness is the only doer? Consciousness is the only doer?
If you push come to shove, if you insist on the term doer, doing, I would say, okay, fine. I mean, that's a lesser evil. Okay, fine, no problem. If but
you talk about consciousness being at rest and then consciousness being in action, which is noumena and phenomena, right? So absolutely. Is this like
yes, sure. I mean, right now your experience is that of, on one hand, there is this movement. You see this movement. There is a certain movement. There is a hearing. There is a sensation of your heartbeat. There is a sensation of your back against a chair. There's the sun shining on your face. These are phenomenal. This is phenomena, yes? There may be a thought, gee, I've got to meet somebody in 2 hours, all this is phenomena, right? So that's the phenomenal realm is something that perceives this. There is a reality that perceives the thought, that perceives the sensation of the sun against your face, right? The sensation isn't sensing itself.
Right.
A thought isn't sensing a sensation. There is a sensation, there is a reality that perceives, right? So the reality that perceives is not a thought, or it's not a sensation. It's not a phenomenon, right? So it's the noumenal. So the noumenal aspect of your experience, which is the reality of your experience, the essence of your experience, right? That's the reality which perceives, right? And at the same time, there is the phenomenal, that which appears, right? But then when you try to find the distance or the separation between that which perceives, the reality which perceives, and the sensation, that you perceive, you don't find any distance. You don't have to like go 2 meters, or you don't have to go looking somewhere. You don't find any distance, right? So the reality of awareness and the reality of the phenomena, that which is perceived, are not two. It's one realm. Yes.
Yeah, you really, Magdi, you really made that clear the other day. I was so glad, so happy that you made that clear for me when we talked about, the like the felt and the feeler. It's just one. It's just simultaneous
Yes.
thing. It's
Yes.
really, that was so great that you
Yes.
told it that
Yes.
you went.
Yes.
So yeah, pretty clear.
So in a way, the distinction between phenomenal and noumenal is only useful up to a point. At a certain point, it ceases to be that significant because our experience isn't really divided into, on one hand, awareness, and on the other hand, perceiving.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not our experience that we're split into.
Right.
It's not. Our experience is whole. It's whole.
Huh.
So the phenomenal and the noumenal, we speak about that in order to make some pointing, to bring some clarity.
Is it like a concession? That word, I've heard that word concession. Is it like a concession?
It's not a concession. It's more like a thorn, to remove a thorn. In the Indian tradition, they say
Yeah.
it's just a tool. Because all of language, most of language is dualistic. I mean, except there are some words, some like consciousness or truth or reality that are not dualistic. They don't have any opposite. But in language, language is metaphoric and is dualistic. But it's still used. It is useful because ignorance itself is based on dualistic concepts of me and not me. So we use the same tools to cure. The same tools that created the disease, we use the same tools to cure it.
Right. Yeah, and then you throw them both away. You kind of get rid of both concepts.
Yes. So right. So the invitation is to notice how actually in your experience there's no division. There isn't like a distance between you and the sky and the mountain in your experience. Conceptually, yes. Conceptually, the mountain is made out of rock, and rock is conceptually made out of a certain density of molecules and atoms, and conceptually, atoms are made out of nucleus and electrons. Yes, conceptually, the mountain is blah, 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 blah. And consciousness is blah, 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 blah. Two different, different concepts, conceptually. But experientially, it's fascinating because experientially, we don't experience consciousness and mountain as separate. I forgot what your question was.
I think it was, I started out with the whole manifestation thing, which is, I think we went into that quite a bit. I think, I'm going to have to listen back to this because I really want to get this, but I think I don't know if you were done with that whole thing.
It's okay. I mean, we're always done and never done. I mean, it's we love to
it's okay. We're jumping around. That's cool too. I mean, jumping around, it's all good. I mean, I need all of this.
Right. All right.
It's all good. Okay.
Be safe.
Thanks. Yes. I will. Well, I'm safe. I'm home.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Run upstairs now, but I'll be listening.
Wonderful. Okay. Enjoy. Okay. Any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Marga.
Are you trying to end in 6 minutes? Because I don't want to ask a question if it's no. Okay. This relates to what you and Frank were talking about at some points, but I have a very 3D problem challenge
Yes.
that's hard to solve. And I've been struggling with anxiety and stress, which I never even knew what anxiety was till I was an adult. I'm glad to have a name for it, but it's partly believing that I have some control, I think. And as the problem's difficult to solve, I'm not going to bore you with details because it's just very mundane, but it's difficult to solve and it keeps ramping up to where in a 3D way, it's menacing a bit, you know, like deadline or consequences or unsolvable kind of thing. So I've been finding my body is like my heart will race and I will feel, I'll wake up in the night, you know, with mind racing about it. And some part, you know, the character is telling herself that she's not doing that. So then that's why it's kind of seeping out because it's like, I'm just trying to be and allow and do the next thing. But some part of me is caught up in a story, I guess, because of the stress that my body is expressing. So I was just going to ask about that as far as when the body's playing out, the challenge that it'll work out one way or the other. And I, you know, I know that deeply, but somehow I'm not riding the wave as well this time.
Yes, yes. So the body on one level, the body is moving in only one direction. Yes, I mean, it's just a matter of time for the body to become like an old clunker and okay, you know, old pair of shoes, you know, time to discard. That's relatively, you know, basic. So, of course, this does not mean that we don't, you know, that the body is not a good friend that we can take care of and baby, manage and tend to in the best way we can. But still, we know that just a matter of time for the body to sort of do the body thing and wilt away, you know. So so we don't need to give the body more importance than what the body deserves, which is just our attention, our relaxing it and feeding it and exercising it and not stressing it. So when we don't stress the body, the best way not to stress the body is not to identify, is to be relaxing, to relax our identifications. And the best way to relax our identification is to comprehend that we are not separate from the cosmos, that there isn't an actual existence, a personal existence outside of the cosmic existence. So it's being is only one being, one beingness. It's not like a human being or a godly being or a divine being or an extraterrestrial being. I'm talking about beingness, being. It's one being. So the process of relaxing the body is via understanding about identification is some sort of contractions, within the body. We identify because we experience ourselves as separate, as we don't experience ourselves as the cosmos, as the entire order. So the others, whatever is happening, appearing in your world, is part of the cosmic manifestation. The cosmos is putting these pieces of the puzzle, in your space. And once you comprehend that all your thoughts and all the thoughts of your friends, of your partners, of your clients, and of your family, all their thoughts are God's thoughts, are universal thoughts. And that there is no personal self. There is nothing at stake for any person, because there is no person. And you are God's play, and everything that is appearing to you, your entire experience is the experience of God's play within your body, within your mind, within your life, within your home, within your relationships. And that there is no personal self for whom things are at stake, you see. So life can be a form of play. You bring this playfulness into life via your understanding that this is what you love. You love the play. And via your agreement to play, and via your not buying into that side of the game which says you got to play it correctly and right, or else. No, I am not going to buy this or else. No, not going to buy it. Why? Because it's not fun. Who wants that? Or else. No, if you want to play with me the game, play it this way or else. I am not a player. I'm not a player. It's okay. It's okay. I know there may be many others that would like to play this game, but I'm not a player. Because I don't like to be miserable. So whoever is inviting you to play the game, do it this way or else, you have to find this person and say, no, I'm not on board for that. Now, if it's you, if it's you,
me,
who me, right? Then you have to sort of also tell yourself, okay, look, Margaret, come on, man. No. I'm not going to get on board that ship, see? So yeah, I'm open to exploring, deadlines. I'll play with deadlines. I may meet the deadline, I may not meet the deadline. And if I don't meet the deadline, you know what? I'm not going to play the misery game. Everybody else around me is going to play the blame me game. Okay, you play the blame me game. I'm not going to play the game of being blamed, or of blaming, buying into, oh yeah, failure and success. I have failed, I've succeeded. There is no failure in God's kingdom. There is no failure. Is only in a human, limited, ignorant mind. The mind that believes in success and failure. There is no success and failure. It's only play, only joy, only freedom. And that's what we say yes to. So we say yes to.
The first thing you said about the body, there was an immediate pop, like I got bigger.
Yeah.
So the constriction I hadn't been able to see. Thank you. It was pretty quick.
Yes. Yes. Right. Yeah. There is a tendency to sort of contract at the feeling level. In the body, we contract. And these contractions, is different from the feelings we get in the body due to the aging of the body, or due to the, if we're sitting all day, we develop certain sensations in the body. This is different. I'm talking about these contractions that are more psychological, like there is something at stake. Oh my God, what's, certain fears, we get habituated to them. We almost don't notice them. So yeah, it's helpful to sort of turn your attention to the body and relax your belly, relax your breathing, and notice these places in your body where you feel contracted, nervous, fearful. And because you don't like contraction, you don't like fear, you don't like, nobody does. It's just, then you sort of relax that, because they want to relax, but they're not allowed to relax, because the storyline, oh my God, what I've got to protect, I've got to defend, I've got to, so, but there may be, situations in your life where there are certain conditions. Okay, you have to deliver something by a certain time. Well, you know what? You do your best. You do your best, and in the end, that's what you did. You did your best. Love it or leave it. I mean, that's what I mean. You're not a robot. I mean, things got presented to you this way. You had only so much data available to you, so many resources available to you. You used your intelligence, you used your resources, you also got some rest because you need to rest. And this is what it is. So if you don't accept it, and you're waiting for somebody else to accept it, then I think you're giving away your power. You accept it, period. If you accept it, that's it. The others don't want to accept it. It's a large, big universe. They can jump off the planet. You're okay. You're okay with yourself. So you have to trust being okay with yourself, meaning being okay with the universe, being okay with the best you could do. You have to trust that. If you don't trust that, then what are you trusting? Then you're trusting, oh my God, I should have, or if only I had done this and that, or why did I do this and didn't do that? You're trusting chaos, the chaotic mind, right? The chaotic mind. So it's best to trust the universe as it's appearing to you. You're there. It's not separate from you. You perceive what you perceive. You understand what you understand. Nobody has a crystal ball. You proceed with the care that you can. Of course, also you have to notice maybe some patterns within you of, somebody says something and, I used to have this pattern of pleasing and this pattern of dancing to the crowd. And there are patterns that over time you may notice them, they may come out, and then when you notice a pattern, you have to see it as a pattern. This is a pattern. And patterns, they're trying to usually defend, protect a fiction, a fictitious character. They're useful at a certain time in our past where we had to, take a certain position, but then they play themselves out. They arise, from the background in certain situations. You see a pattern and then you can notice You have to take time with it. If the pattern is unhappy, if it's not really godly, if it's not godly. Okay, Marga, nice to see you. Okay. Well, life is about happiness, about enjoyment and celebration. Not so much about worry and concern. Any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. I just wanted to share in your last meditation or somewhere you mentioned experiential and conceptual. Like experientially, I am awareness, and conceptually, I'm a man, I'm a father. And this is just so powerful, so beautiful, just to become aware of the two perspectives, or I don't know how to say it, but in this moment, I can check in and see if I'm somewhere in my story or if I'm really experiencing myself. And this was just profound. It was very...
Yeah, there is a certain time and place for being a father or being a teacher or being a neighbor or being a husband, or being a friend. And it's appropriate to live our life with this role, let's say, this role is with the understanding that what I truly am, with the understanding that I am this borderless presence, reality. But we don't stay, I am this reality, I am consciousness. No, in life, it's very active. We're shopping, or we're a merchant, or we're a programmer, or we're a designer, or an artist, neighbor, father. There are so many, and so life. Most of our life is in these roles. But it's important to know that these roles are just occurring. The play. It's a play of our true nature. It's a play of our true nature. So experientially, I am this borderless presence playing life. Life is the expression, the creation and the play for the enjoyment of consciousness itself. It's joyful. It's joyful and playful and creative and contemplative and practical and celebratory and problem solving, figuring things out and But
and
there is a freedom. There is the
Yeah.
freedom. There is the role and the freedom.
and the freedom to see that the role doesn't affect me.
Yes,
The role doesn't limit me.
absolutely. Nothing does. I mean, consciousness is limitless. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Limitation and sense of separation, isolation is a choice we make. It's a choice that consciousness makes, that to sort of overlook.
I'm an expert in limitation.
Don't worry, we all we don't have a monopoly on this one. We'll have to play, you know. So, I mean, nothing is imposed onto consciousness. Nothing. There's no God above God.
Wow. Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Holger, nice to see you. Okay, well, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you. Thank you all. Chris, nice to see you. Nathan, Holger, Mark, and Patrick, hello Manoj, Jeff, Marga, Frank, Richard, hola Mina, hello Mina, Holly, Malcolm, nice to see you, Malcolm, and my sweet Tara. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you, Magdi. Thank you.